The fighting art of eskrima is fast becoming the national sport of the Philippines. Its acknowledged champion is Kakoy Cañete. He lives on the island of Cebu, one of the large islands that make up the Philippines. His home has always been in Cebu City, the capital of the island, a place of harsh contrasts. Just outside the city centre is the headquarters of the small club which sets the standard for eskrima throughout the nation. The name of the club, DOCE PAres, means 12 pairs and is taken from the name of Charlemagne's bodyguard. The club celebrated its 50th anniversary in 1982. It was started by the family Cañete to train themselves and their friends. It is still a family club. The training ground is beside Kakoy's house, which he shares with his children and their families. Eskrima is a fighting system in a state of transition. It has been used for hundreds of years throughout the Philippines. Now, people like the Cañetes are adding to the basic art the sophistication of Japanese techniques. An indication of this is the practice of forms, or katas. They are long, elaborate solo performances. This one is a speciality of Dione Cañete. He spends most of his time in Manila, working as a very successful businessman. Though they are adding Japanese ideas to the techniques, 50 years is not long enough to also import Japanese formality. Any activity on the training ground is watched by every curious eye in the neighborhood.
So I'm prepared again. Okay.
Most of the Cebuanos speak 2 languages. Training is conducted in both English and in the language of Cebu. Eskrima is a complex, sophisticated and effective fighting system. Much of the credit for its present status is due to the DOCE PAres Club, with Kakoy Cañete as its leading fighter, publicist and master.
The most common and the most effective type of holding is the full grip type. In this manner, even if it is hit on the side, either from any direction, still you can control the stick. And there's an allowance of about 2 inches from the butt. Purpose is to use this for disarming, for hitting any part of the body at close range. Then you can twirl the stick, see, in any direction, see. And there are people, there are escrimadores who twirl the stick in this manner. They always open their palm. I observed many there in the United States, escrimadores opening their palm whenever they twirl. But DOCE PAres people are always full grip the stick, see? See?
Many weapons are used in eskrima, but Kakoy has always concentrated on the stick, made from a special tough light wood, hardened by fire.
Full grip, see?
He has brought new strikes into the system, developing curving strikes rather than straight or linear ones.
And the most effective strike is the curved strike. You can easily block the linear strike, but when the strike is curving, no matter how hard you try to block the strike, the forend of the stick will always reach the target. Salute.
Even gentle sparring is a painful process for Kakoy's opponent. He is an advanced student, but he never manages to hit Kakoy once. Kakoi has had many real fights. All his life he has been challenged, always having to use his techniques against new opponents. He has never lost in over 100 fights. After a few moments, the challengers always collapse before him.
The only way to prove that your style is the best is to accept any challenge. How can you claim that your style is the best when you do not accept any challenge? That's why in our group, whenever there is a student who refuses to fight, I always ask him to retire. So what use will our techniques be if he has all the techniques and he doesn't use it in actual fight?
Eskrima is above all a practical fighting art. It has developed out of the need to survive in a violent society where knives are a common weapon.
Okay. Teaching today.
These defensive moves are designed to push the knives away so that they don't slice into the vital veins and arteries on the inside of the arms. Then both opponents are disarmed, again avoiding the knife blades.
Because you can take it off. You actually get the farther the... Yeah, okay.
Elogio Cagnetti is the oldest of the founding brothers. He has always been the president of the DOCE PAres. Although over 80, he is still a formidable fighter.
You know, yes. Just like it is like this, Honora. Yes. Without the stick, it's actually the same. Now, if you have this, it's the same technique. Black, then... Huh?
One of the masters at DOCE PAres is alive because he was taught how to defend himself against knife attack. It happened when he was walking with a friend. Neither of them had weapons. The friend ran away when they were attacked by 7 men with knives. Master Karin nearly died in the attack, but fought back, killing one of them.
He's lucky that he survived that fight. Of course, one of the brothers got killed.
Look, yeah. This one hit my liver and my stomach.
See? There.
This is an operation. Hit the stomach, but...
That's the evidence that he gets in a real fight.
I was sitting there, though. That's why I down. And they make a stabbing position while I'm down. I snatch all the daggers. And that dagger which I snatch hit one of my opponent. So I snatch it.
If his opponent was only one, he could easily beat his opponent. But then there were four brothers and 3 companions. So 7 stone. So you're lucky. You should be thankful to God.
Thankful to God.
For having learned.
Thankful to our organization, especially the DOCE PAres, for it had because of my skill and harness and combat judo. I'm already below the ground.
The only yardstick for a skill is to have an actual fight.
Right.
Yeah. In sparring, it's not enough that you deliver the strike. But if you deliver multiple strikes, for example, I deliver here. You see? See? Wrap it. Then here. See? See? All in art movements. So you put your opponent on the defensive position. But if you deliver only one strike, that he will fight back. Surely he will fight back. But you deliver a series of strikes, he will be on the run. He will be always on the defensive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. The function of the stick in Eskrima is obvious, but the left hand is just as important. Kakoi's left hand moves independently of his right. All the time it controls his opponent's stick, never allowing it to strike him. Caco's opponent is one of his sons, Edgar. Though he was trained by his father, he is not yet in the same class. He just cannot penetrate his father's defenses. Caco's strikes curl around Edgar's body. He can achieve 6 strikes a second. Apart from the pain, the speed of such an attack is absolutely demoralizing. DOCE PAres shows its techniques to the public in January. Each year there is a procession through Cebu City, and the club prepares a special demonstration to perform as they march along. The procession celebrates the arrival of the Spanish explorer Magellan in Cebu, and his death at the hands of a local chieftain. The chieftain, called Lapu Lapu, is now a national hero for his resistance to the Spanish colonizers. When Magellan arrived in the Philippines, he landed where Cebu City is now. He made friends with the local tribes, and their chiefs were baptized into the Christian faith. After Magellan's death, his ship sailed away to circumnavigate the globe. 44 years later, the Spanish returned, and this time stayed to govern the Philippines for 350 years. They set their mark upon the people and customs of the country, including eskrima. Certainly, European sword fighting techniques have been added to the fighting system that existed when the Spanish arrived. Before they arrived, the techniques were probably influenced by Chinese and Indian fighting arts. Modern eskrima developed out of this mixture. The same system is called arnis in other parts of the Philippines. When Magellan baptized the chieftains, they told him about another chief called Lapu Lapu, who lived on an island nearby. Unfortunately for Magellan, he was a tough fighter. The Spanish set up this monument to Magellan near to where he died. Surprisingly, Magellan made the mistake of sailing around to attack Lapu Lapu without thinking about the state of the tide. The water around Lapu Lapu's village was shallow, and a battle between the Spaniards and the Filipinos took place in that. The Spaniards wore heavy clothing and armor. Their opponents wore very little. Lapu Lapu, of course, has a monument put up by the Filipinos. Here, on the 27th of April, 1521, Lapu Lapu and his men repulsed the Spanish invaders, killing their leader, Ferdinand Magellan. Thus, Lapu Lapu became the first Filipino to have repelled European aggression. The Spanish stories of the battle say that Lapu Lapu and his men fought with wooden sticks, the first reference to eskrima. However, patriotic artists always give Lapu Lapu a sword. Before his death, Magellan gave the friendly chieftains a carved image of the baby Jesus. When the Spaniards returned 44 years later, they found that miraculously it had been kept. And so Santo Niño, the sacred child, became the patron saint of the Philippines. Today's procession is in his honor. People travel great distances to be at his church on his day. Outside it are ladies selling candles and dancing the special steps that are also a prayer to the saint. Nearly everyone buys candles and sets them to burn in special trays. The melted wax is collected and recycled. Inside the church, the people queue to worship the original statue left by Magellan. They believe his virtue is transmitted through his protective glass. As they kiss the glass, the people pray to the sacred child for special favors. Many of the worshippers who traveled to be here slept in the streets around the church. After the procession in January, DOCE PAres started to practice for their anniversary celebration. Every night there were training sessions. Special tracksuits and T-shirts were designed, and invitations sent to Filipino communities throughout the world. Eskrima is not exclusively a male activity, though not many women practice it. Kakoy's daughter, Kathy, has studied other martial arts and has a black belt in karate.
Okay. It's fine. Okay. Very nice.
It is not easy for a woman to be a student of fighting in the Philippines, since masculine pride is so easily offended. Kathy stopped practicing karate when she discovered that it frightened away boyfriends. DOCE PAres also sent invitations to senior members of government and expected at least one general to attend their celebrations. The club planned to display as wide a range of techniques as possible. They particularly wanted to make clear the difference between the classical style and the modern style developed by Kakoy. His main teacher had been his brother, Mumoy Kenyeti, a very hard master to learn under. Mumoy is a traditionalist. He still uses the long-range style that was the most common fighting style. There has been family tension between him and Kakoy because of the way that Kakoy has changed Eskrima, especially the added techniques from judo and other Japanese fighting arts.
He's locked now. He's turned very far.
Mumoy is practicing his demonstration of an advanced technique. This combination of stick and dagger is formidable. The grips and locks can be used to hold an opponent, or the dagger can be used to kill him.
He's locked there. Now he's locked. Now, the... That's locked. Oh, that's...
The traditional style of Eskrima has been exported to any country that accepted Filipino immigrants, especially the United States. Many people practice it there, usually under its other names,